Hello. In this video tutorial, I will introduce you to those areas of the software where you can modify the zoom settings for your end reader whilst they're reading the magazine. Let's start in the Design tab under the menu option Zoom Options. Here we have 4 different options to discuss. The first is Zoom To, and in this you're provided with 2 options, a single page and a double page. Let's select double page. I'd like to show you an example of a single page. Here we are in a sample on our website called Manhattan Bride. You'll see that it's a double page spread, but if I click on one of the pages to zoom in, it presents me with a single page zoom. However, when I select double page zoom, it would actually zoom in as a double page and bring me into the center of the double page spread, which we'll see in a few moments. The second option available is navigation. When your reader has chosen the zoom in option, how would you like them to be able to move around the magazine? Again, they have 2 options. They can choose mouse move, which I will show you in a moment on our sample, or they can choose to click and drag. Let's select that so I can show you in our example. This is where they would have to click and drag the magazine downwards or upwards to be able to move around that page. Looking at our sample magazine again, you can see that if I move my magazine, click to zoom in, and then move down simply downwards with the mouse, that's mouse-based navigation. Our next option on screen is to disable zoom for certain pages within your magazine. So you can nominate the individual pages where you want the reader to be unable to zoom in. Again, let's look at a magazine example where this might be needed. I'm back at the example of the Manhattan Bride sample on our website. I can zoom in on page 1, but when I move to page 2, there's an animation on the page. You'll see confetti fall down around the bride. So on that page, I don't want my reader to be messing with that animation by clicking on zoom in, so I've disabled it on that page. The 4th feature we'll talk about is the zoom slider. When you want a reader to be able to click on the magazine article to zoom in to read the text a little better, you can also provide them with a zoom slider at the top of the page, which will allow them to apply even more and even a higher rate of zoom. Let me show you through our example. Here we are. So I will click on the page to be able to zoom in so that I can read the text correctly on my device. And you see a little zoom bar appear at the top. A zoom slider appears at the top of the page. I can see that my default setting has already been fixed by the editor of the magazine. However, I can choose to move it from 100%, which is the default setting, right up to 200% if I choose to go that far, and zoom back down again all the way to 75% view. And that explains the zoom slider. Let's quickly recap. Zoom To gives you a single or a double page spread option. Navigation gives you either mouse movement when the reader has zoomed in order to navigate around the magazine, or the ability to click and drag. We have the ability to disable zoom for specific pages. And we also have a zoom slider option which we choose by clicking on the box to make it available to our reader. There's one other area where we can modify the zoom settings within the magazine, and that's moving to the Output tab. You can see here that we have a default view on the zoom level setting that we have applied as the default zoom level setting for our magazine today. If I choose not to go with browser width, which may be the preferred option for your readers, and I want to be more specific about the level of zoom applied to my magazines, then I can simply select Custom and move the slider bar here to apply a default setting. As I showed you in the example, that will vary between 75% all the way up to a maximum of 200% of the magazine's setting. If I choose to modify that and I want to view my modification before I actually publish the magazine, then I can click on the Apply button at the bottom of the screen, and that will be applied instantly so that I can preview my changes here. Let's try it and see. So what I've done is I've moved from a default setting of 100% back to a default setting of 75%, which I feel, given the real estate on screen, will much better suit my magazine. Let's apply those changes. As you can see, I can see the difference, and I can navigate through the magazine to see that change on my zoom level applied to all of the pages in the magazine. I think that's going to better fit my magazine today. So without further ado, let's preview those changes that we've made. Now let's preview those changes. When I click here, I should be presented with a zoom slider with a default zoom level of 75%. And there you see it appear on screen, and it is set all the way back at 75%. Now, as a reader, I can modify that again. That's the first thing that we talked about. Now, let's talk about the double page spread. Let's zoom back out of there. As you can see, I'm in a double page spread, and in our example that we prepared using the software, we chose the option for double page as our zoom level setting. So if I click on either page, it will zoom me in as a double page spread and not on the pages individually. The third setting that we talked about was the mouse navigation. When I have zoomed in, do I want my reader to be able to move around using the mouse, which you saw on the Manhattan Bride example on the web page, or did we want them to have to click and drag, which I have to do here? So that's showing you the click and drag feature. One final thing that I would like to talk about before we leave this area is your end reader. The end reader has a features panel. And in the Design tab, you have the ability to enable or disable any of these features on their feature bar. One of those features, which is important for our video tutorial, is the Settings feature. It's good to leave this available for your end readers because they may want to override the zoom settings that you have applied to best fit the device that they are using. And you can see that they're able to do so by choosing the Zoom to Double Page or Single Page option. They can choose to move around by using the mouse rather than having to click and drag all of the time. They can zoom to a custom zoom or choose to have a browser width applied for their specific device. And finally, last but not least, they can actually also change their page transition from flip to slide or presentation mode instead. Okay, and that concludes our video tutorial on the zoom settings. Thanks for watching.